We're live. Right exactly at 12 o'clock. Here we go. So today we have a very big personality on. And this guy has single-handedly made smoking weed behind the dumpster at high school a profession. His name, for those that don't know, is Remo. And he is one of the original, if not the original, cannabis influencers on YouTube. And he's a really good dude. Like I said, huge personality. And I've known him a lot of years. And we're gonna invite him in right now. Sorry, I'm just catching my breath because I ran to make this happen. So we're gonna invite Remo in. And we are gonna talk to one of the original guys that has been part of the fabric of the cannabis industry. Remo, how you doing?
I'm blazing. How you doing, Justin?
Yeah, really, really good. Thanks for coming on today, and this is gonna be an exciting one.
This is exciting.
Yeah.
Good to have you. I just kind of told everybody you took smoking weed behind the dumpster at high school and turned it into a profession. And if people say that cannabis kills, you should have been dead 100 times.
Yeah. I actually smoked my body's weight in weed easily.
Oh, no question. So yeah, we're gonna get started here. Excitedly, you're one of the, if not the original YouTuber. That's a pretty big deal because back in the day, cannabis cultivation obviously was pretty illegal.
Yeah.
And
How was it being one of the first, sticking your neck out, hopefully not getting it chopped off?
Well, the funny thing about that is everybody was afraid that they'd get busted. And you know what? I didn't care. I figured I was doing the right thing. If something's going to happen, so be it. But nothing ever happened. I never got a call, never got a visit. None of the patients that we worked with ever had a problem. I guess it was meant to be.
yeah,
But,
well, it's
fast forward to today, it seems like I paved the way for a lot of these YouTube channels, the cannabis YouTube channels. But unfortunately, we lost a lot. There was a purge a few years ago. Remember the purge?
yeah.
I was purged too. They turned my channel off for 7 months. Said, see ya. They sent me some nasty letter saying that I'll never have another Google account again for as long as I live and blah, blah, blah. And then I wrote them off. I said, screw it, I'm at Vimeo now. And about 7 months later, just magically went on.
Huh.
No apology note or anything. Just, you're back.
Listen, as the world decriminalizes cannabis, they're gonna look at this and go, oh my God, social media, because you can talk about pharmaceutical drugs, you can sit there and drink your body's weight in alcohol. Nobody really tends to complain. But all of a sudden, cannabis, if these companies actually looked at the bullshit and the propaganda on why this plant's been demonized and made illegal, they would, and I'm still shocked that Reefer Madness still has the effect this many years later. It fascinates me. So
Yeah.
I don't want to rant too much, but it's the ship has sailed, and we're all moving towards legalization globally, and that's kind of that's exciting. I got to know you on a personal level. This was an interesting time. I mean, I knew you, but I really got to know you at the beginning of the Coalition Against Repeal.
Yeah.
In the history of humankind, I don't know of any time that a few, and I mean literally a few people, have come together, changed federal government's laws, and held them accountable and took them to court and won.
I'm so glad we did. Because if we hadn't have got together and done that, right now, people wouldn't be able to grow their 4 plants at home. Because if it was
Absolutely.
deemed dangerous and, hazardous for patients to do it, there would be no way that anybody would be able to do it at home. But I'd like to also note this. Green Planet was the only nutrient company that was willing to kick in at the time, and my company, which was just starting out at the time. We were the only two Canadian cannabis or nutrient companies that kicked in, and there's a lot of them. There's like Supernatural, there's Blue Sky
Listen,
Organics.
the amount of people we tried to get involved and we did boxes at retail stores, and
Yeah.
we did our best to be all encompassing. And this was at a time when the industry was thriving. It was literally a chip in a chair, and I couldn't live with myself if we didn't try. And
You gotta do something.
you had to do something. And I was really fortunate to have known Jason Wilcox, and he was the one that brought it to me. He literally was in tears. He goes, I can't do this. I want so badly to take the federal government to court. I need to be able to grow my medicine. He had HIV. He said, this plant saved my life. You know, at that moment, a girl came in with a wheelchair and they're like, we're losing our plants, we're losing our medicine, this, that, and the other. And I just said, okay, I brought my credit card. I literally called the cannabis lawyer, John Conroy in Kirk Tusaw. And I said, listen, what are the chances? And they're like, you know what? We have a potential. And that was it. So I put down my credit card and I said, let's start the case. And that was literally that's how it all initially started. And thank God I did. And thank God Jason Wilcox came to me, because if he didn't ask, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah. You know what? On the same note, I remember Jason came over to my house to visit, get high, and he told me about it. And it's like, we got to make a video about this. So that was the very first video we made on the subject. Let's say the first shot at the government. That was it, and that was when we let people know that we need to unite and get this done, and we did. That's the amazing thing. Never in Canada has a patient group got together, taken on the federal government, and won. We made history.
Absolutely, and that set the precedence for how cannabis is laid out today in Canada, and that set a precedence for the world, because obviously people look at the world when it comes to cannabis cultivation and they're like, how did they do it? What did they do? And you'll see in every single other country, they'll allow 3-4 plants as we're seeing it roll out, because that set the tone. And that's no small feat. And, thanks to you, your efforts, and it wasn't
You as well.
Listen, all of our efforts.
We're a team.
But the fact of the matter is, we may be two different companies in the nutrient game, but we have way more similarity than the other, right?
No, you're totally right. We have a lot of things in common. Like, for example, I like motorcycles and dirt biking. Well, guess what? You like dirt biking and off-roading and all that kind of stuff too, which is kind of cool. We grew up in a similar area in Surrey.
Absolutely. Like, that's the funny part about it. You and I are similar ages, and we grew up at the very beginning of what BC Bud looked like.
Yeah. No, we were in the first wave.
And back in the early 90s, it was a chip in a chair. It was a lot of hope, a lot of work, a lot of effort. But stripping wasn't paying that well for, a young buck. So I'm like, hey, I'll get involved in this industry, see how that goes. I'm joking.
Okay. Yeah, it turned out pretty good, I guess, eh?
Yeah.
Listen, like I said at the very beginning of the podcast, I said, you literally have had and turned a profession from smoking weed behind the high school at the dumpster, and you've done it really well, because when you are at every trade show, you literally have a group of people that you smoke weed with. And, everybody wants to smoke weed with Remo, which is awesome.
Crazy, yeah, it's a dream come true, actually. Actually, I appreciate all the gifts of weed when I travel. Thanks, everybody, for donating. Travel with a lot of weed, so getting these gifts it really makes the difference. Totally makes a difference.
Well, listen, when people give you cannabis, they're giving you a piece of themselves, saying, here, I really want it. I want you to try something, my art. I want you to try something that I put my heart and soul into. You'll never normally see personal cultivators not take a massive amount of pride. And you and I have talked about this in the past. It's like someone showing you their baby and saying, what do you think? And, you can't say your baby's ugly.
No, people take offense to that.
Yeah, it's just taboo in this day and age. But
you know what I find is that, pretty much 95% of the time, somebody's going to come up to you and they're going to present you a bud. It's probably going to be one of their best buds and something worthy.
Absolutely.
Like, it's usually like just absolutely killer stuff. And I found this out even when we started a program called Marijuana Monday, where we review samples that people send in, and man, people really send their A game. Let me tell you, it's great.
It's incredible, right?
Yeah. So I never thought, that I'd be in this position where people send me weed and I can just smoke it. It's beautiful.
It literally, if you could look at dream job, that's the definition of it. So you and I had the fortunate opportunity to go to Germany. I was at Mary Jane 2 years ago, and pre-legalization, and it was already developing a groundswell of culture. You and I got to see something that was mind-blowing this year at Mary Jane. Do you want to explain what you got to see?
If you guys remember what legalization was like in the beginning here in Canada, when we first got medical, um,
Yeah.
the laws weren't that clear. So people were thought, oh, everything's legal to do with cannabis, and they would open dispensaries, and there's dispensaries coast to coast here, and people would sell weed at the 420 events, and it was kind of a free for all. That's what's happening in Germany right now. The laws aren't clear. Everybody's allowed to grow 3 plants. You're allowed to carry 25 grams in the street, but the laws aren't exactly clear. So what I witnessed at this event were people selling clones for 20 euros a clone. So there's people walking around the event. You must have seen a few of them with this nice little plant hanging out of their hand. That was kind of neat. But the street price of cannabis in Berlin just blew my mind. These people pay for 3.5 grams of weed, 80 euros.
That's bonkers.
Completely crazy. Just to put in
And
perspective.
you and I know where that's going.
Yeah,
We've had a crystal ball.
A lot of the weed, legal and let's say gray area, the majority of it was coming from Canada.
Not untrue.
One party where they showed me they had a whole spread of weed, and I videotaped it, and they said all the weed here is from Canada, and I was like, wow, it looked pretty good too.
The funny part about all of it is we know where the market's going to go, right? There's going to be lots of market compression. There's this monster groundswell, which is exciting. It's not that it's going to go in the toilet, but there's a difference between Germany and Canada. The highest cost in the manufacturing of a pound of cannabis is power. And power is really expensive in Germany. So that will leave places that have renewable energy, less expensive power, an opportunity to still survive in markets where it's really, really expensive. Now, obviously 3 plants, grow them outdoors, those I don't think there's any size issues. So 3 plants, they could be, 6, 8, 10 feet tall, and you're gonna make enough cannabis for your needs, hopefully the whole year, with a little bit of sun, a little bit of love, and a little bit of tender, loving care, right? So, it's amazing what you can get off 3 plants.
Yeah, actually, I grew 4 plants when I first moved to my property here.
Yeah.
And I put them outside, and because I live in BC, our falls are not that great. So I did light depth, so I could speed up the budding process. And I would tarp the plant. Actually, here I'm going to give you my grow tip. If you're going to tarp, I made a frame, and I'd pull plastic over every night.
Yeah.
The big secret to light depth, and I will share this with everybody so they can be successful. Roll the corners and grab some of Mom's clothespins and use clothespins to button it up. And it is dark in there. And then you can just unbutton it in the morning, peel it back, and everything's great. But I ended up getting off my 4 outdoor plants 6.5 pounds and a rock video. Danko Jones came over and made a rock video. The video, "Do You Want to Get High?" was shot in my 4 plants. Actually, I'm in the video too, getting them high.
But the video. That's not your first foray into cultivation.
No. But that's the first 4 plants I grew here outdoors. So
okay.
Yeah. So the rock video was a bonus because actually this is funny. It got a number one spot in Germany, on the rock chart.
Hilarious.
It hit number 1, which
really
I didn't expect that. Yeah, because they released a song just as legalization was unfolding in Germany, and I guess they made that their theme. It's also the theme now of Grow Up. Whenever we do the Grow Up conference, they play "Do You Want to Get High?" And of course, I want to get high.
For those that don't know, how much do you smoke monthly? If you were to put a number, a ballpark.
Oh, geez, about an ounce a day, so that'd be like 30 ounces a month.
Okay, that's a good amount.
Yeah. Well, each one of these joints I roll here.
They're supercharged. They're thick.
2-gram joints there. Yeah, I fill it right up.
Yeah, no, you don't.
And none of this, adding tobacco or.
Oh no,
I've never
sacrilege.
understood.
No, that's
Yeah.
terrible. That ruins the flavor. I don't understand. I understand. Like in the past, I used tobacco with a little bit of hash. As soon as there was good weed available, I just put weed in these spliffs. I also quit smoking tobacco.
So you've cultivated cannabis for a very long time. What got you into it originally?
Well, it's funny. In the '80s, actually, I'll even rewind the tape a bit further back. Originally, I started smoking hash because the weed was terrible. We get like a lot of this. They call it Thai weed or Cambodian, but it was probably Mexican. And it was full of seeds. It was brown.
Shoelaces.
Really didn't get me high.
Anything. Yeah.
But there was hash available. I mean, tried smoking the hash, and that totally worked. So I smoked hash for the first little bit, and then getting into the '80s, all of a sudden there's indoor cultivation started happening in BC, and we started getting skunk weed. And I remember smoking the skunk weed, and I'm like, wow, this gets me way higher than that hash. So we ditched the hash. We started smoking skunk weed. However, at that time, to buy an eighth of skunk weed, you probably remember these prices. It was $40 for an eighth, and if you bought a quarter, they might give it to you for $75. And I'm like, that is just insane. And I said, screw it, I'm gonna go buy a light. So I bought a light. Paid $250 for this thing that you had to wire together. It was just a coil and coil ballast, and you had to buy the little ceramic part, and everything was separate. And then you had to try to figure out how to put it together yourself and buy a plug and put that on there.
Yeah, you got the wiring diagram. You had to hang the ballast with a coat hanger because they got so hot.
Did all that stuff. Went and got myself a little plastic intermatic timer, and I was in business. And that's how I first started growing. And the funny thing is my whole reasoning was if I could just grow enough to cover my own needs, because I'm spending, at least $40 to $75 a day. If I just do that and no more than that, I'd be rich. It never stops there because there's always a buddy that wants something or somebody wants you to give them some weed, and it snowballed from there. And here we are today.
Right?
Yeah, but it's crazy. The value of cannabis now compared to then, like when I first started buying cannabis, it was like $4,000 or $5,000 a pound.
Oh, it's bonkers. The early '90s was bonkers. The amount, like, and from my perspective, I didn't do the YouTube route. I didn't do that. I was the retail store that all my customers came to, and I had to keep a very low profile out of respect for my customers. Right? I couldn't dabble too much in other things. I couldn't add any attention. We were scrutinized. Like, DEA knew that cannabis was being produced in British Columbia on large scale. And they really put a lot of effort trying to find out the people that were in this space. And, we really, early days, had to really pay attention to our P's and Q's, what was said. If you walked in the store and we hadn't known you for literally 5 years and you mentioned any illegal substances, we had a sign on the wall that says illegal substances. If you mention the above, please use the door. And we did it. We kicked out people every single day for coming in and mentioning the word. Because there was a 6-year charge that went along with that too, I believe. It was conspiring to cultivate cannabis. It was a real serious thing. And this is just post Operation Green Merchant. In the States, where they shut down monstrous amounts of stores. It was a real crazy time. And anyways, I don't know where I'm going with this, but it was really a difficult time to navigate. And then all of a sudden, you rolled out on YouTube, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy's gonna get busted. And anyways, X amount of years later, we're just on the cusp of legalization, and I think you're onto something. So, I always like paying homage to the people that paved the way before you. Doesn't matter who it is. There's a demand for good content online. You've been at it a very, very long time. So kudos to you.
Thanks, man. Yeah. But I gotta say that Growing Exposed is probably one of the best programs I've seen to highlight cannabis. Like professionally, you guys do a really nice job. It's very polished. It looks like it should be on TV. I'm sure it's going to be on TV.
Maybe, maybe not, but it's so far, it's been a passion project. Jeremy is one of my oldest friends, literally. You and I spoke a couple years ago, and I literally remember you were growing weed on Old Yale Road in Surrey, and those were old stomping grounds for Jeremy and I on BMXs, hanging out. And I'm I'm in a fortunate position because I get to do what I love, and I still work with people I grew up with and trust and love. So that's we're both very fortunate individuals to do. If you love what you do, you never have to work another day in your life. So
Right.
Yeah.
You know what? You're mentioning Old Yale Road.
Jeremy's crying over here. So this fucking guy.
My very first grow was if you know Old Yale. You know where Southbrook is? Yeah, it was like about 3 or 4 houses up.
Yeah.
You probably drove by my house. It was the one with the condensation running down the windows, but this is before I discovered dehumidifier and outfan.
But those were the days. Like we were talking about old school cannabis, old school BC bud. We didn't know what trichomes were. We knew that it had to be a certain color, potentially dry. Like the shit hardly even lit. Compared to what cannabis looks like today, people would look back then and go, "You sold this for how much?" You couldn't even sell it today. You wouldn't get $1 for it. Now it has to be perfectly cured. It has to be, covered in trikes.
It has to have the perfect smell.
The level of expectation compared to what was being offered in the market those early days is there's a big discrepancy. Literally you could tie it in a knot, it wouldn't break. It was just riddled in moisture. Anyways, and by the time it got to wherever it got to, you were getting high on the microbes that were growing on it versus. Anyways,
I think you thought that mold was skunky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's skunky. It's moldy, man.
Yeah.
what was the? You've grown a lot of plants, but they're like children, right? You always remember one, or you'll hopefully remember more than one child. But there's certain. What's your favorite strain you've ever grown?
One of my favorite strains I've ever grown, and I still have it. I have it in tissue culture, have it here at the house. We haven't put it in flower. I haven't really spread it around, and that's for a reason. Zombie Kush from Ripper Seeds. And it might not have been the most powerful weed, but it sure had a lot of terpenes, a lot of myrcene in it. It would turn black and purple. I think I have 4 or 5 cups from it. One bunch of cups. It was good weed. I'm probably going to bring that back because everybody's kind of forgotten about it and it's faded into the background. So when you bring it back, because that myrcene flavor and the smell, it was great. And it produced. Back then, we were restricted. We could only grow so many plants. I remember one of my previous license was like 49 plants. And then, it's like, wow, well, I've only got a 49 plant license. What do you do with 49 plants? And we figured, well, growing a table with plants this big, probably not a good idea. So we went with those garbage cans and Christmas trees. And yeah, that was very rewarding. We get like between 2 and 3 pounds out of one of those garbage cans. It was fantastic. And it looked like Christmas trees. And
I remember I saw them.
actually, this is a funny story. The band Monster Truck? We gave them some of the weed and they really loved it. And they're like, "Hey, what is this stuff called?" And my buddy said, "Oh, it's called Monster Truck Kush." So the name stuck. So we just gave them Monster Truck Kush all the time. And that's where it came from. It was Zombie Kush. But because it was purple and it smelled great and they loved it, and that's what they smoked on the road in Canada. Monster Truck Kush.
It's unfortunately, and I've said it time and time again, the market and the brokers, for all intents and purposes, that demand certain strains. It's really unfortunate because, and I think this is really important, to stay with what you grow and what you like, not always bending to the will of the market saying, "Oh, I have to have the latest and greatest," and chasing the new strains, because when you chase new strains, you unfortunately lose some of the old school UBC chemo. That was one of the best strains I've ever seen in my life. Old school cultivation. It checked so many boxes. If we had that plant still, Snoop Dogg said PK is the plant to grow. So literally everybody threw their plants away. And if you had a plant like that today, which I'm sure it still exists, but there's certain plants just stand the test of time. And I think it's important, even with legalization and licensed producers, to find the plant that you love and stick with it.
I think
I like lots of plants, though. That's the problem. Like I got 750 different strains, and we're continuously making more. And it's I've taken my favorites and put them in a tissue culture with Sagra, which is a great way to store them. And but yeah, I keep creating more. Like we just dropped 6 new strains. We created 6 new strains, and we're just sharing that with people right now. And we got some real bangers. Actually, if you like that old UBC chemo and how gassy it was, you remember the Remo chemo that we made a few years ago?
Yep, I do.
That was beautiful, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Because that was very reminiscent of the original because it was a cross with that and the Bubba. We took that and we crossed it with, remember the Grow Up conference in Victoria did a couple, I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
The
of
Grow Up.
course. Yeah, in Victoria.
Yeah, and everybody left with those Detroit Runts clones. Did you get one?
I didn't.
Oh,
I
I
get
took it
forgotten
home.
about a lot.
I took it home. I put one into flour. I put one into my vegging area, and I finished it. And I'm like, my God, this weed is amazing. I asked Dustin because he was the one that brought the 500 clones on the plane from Alberta to donate
Yeah.
them. And it came from Nine Lions. I said, "What's the COA on that?" 29%. I'm like, get out. Those guys gave out just an amazing strain there. I don't know how many people actually kept it or flowered it out, but I did. So
Yeah.
that one is crossed with the Remo chemo to create a new strain all together. We're calling it Uncle Remo. And I'm doing a pheno hunt right now. I just took some of my own seeds and we popped them, and I'm going to try to pick the winner out of that. But it does create like a super gas because gas has kind of come back. Everything goes full circle. Everybody wants the
Totally.
gas again. So
Yeah.
this is super gas, but it's also got the strength because we got it crossed with that Detroit Runts, which is crazy fire. Actually, I got some here. It's amazing weed. Put the two together. In fact, I think we got something special. So yeah, there's a bunch of new stuff coming your way.
Amazing. It's fantastic. I mean, listen, I can say the exact same thing, like keep your strains, but it's an evolving art. And, it's always nice to dip your toe into new genetics, new this, that, and the other. But I think the backbone, as you said, it comes around.
Oh, totally.
Wow.
Well, if you look what's popular right now, remember all those strains from 15, 20 years ago, Rockstar,
Sure.
MK,
Absolutely. They're all making a monster resurgence.
they're back. They're back and they're competing with all the exotic strains. But I got to say, some of these new exotics that are coming around, they are very good because look at that permanent marker. It just totally slayed. If you had permanent marker, you
Totally.
had to kill. That one that the Kingsman crew grows in BC is probably one of the best ones I've seen in BC. It's called Freshwater Biscotti. But then they got a few other ones. They had this one called Yellow Mermaid, and it was a $3,000 cutting from Pheno Addicts.
It's funny, right? Like,
$3,000 for one cutting. Can you believe that?
I fully believe it. I mean, we've seen people do some crazy things with legalization. Pay exorbitant prices for a genetic. When legalization hit, we got to see some people were raising capital, not even having a license.
Oh yeah, actually, that was the worst thing in the world was
Oh,
what happened at the beginning because it was irresponsible. A lot of these big companies came into the space. They made all these big promises that they were going to do all this stuff, and then went broke.
It was
And,
it was it was
took people's money.
the most disgusting thing. I mean, we can say this. I've said it time and time again. I've dealt with quote unquote criminals my whole life, pre-legalization, and some of the nicest, kindest, most genuine humans I've ever met are growers. Ma and Pa's the backbone of some incredible humans. And I didn't meet a true criminal until legalization, and they came in suits.
Yeah.
And they were professional, incredibly skilled con men. You literally, I mean, it was a really valuable lesson, and school's always expensive. I had to literally rehone my gauge of who is good and who is not. Is this person a bad actor? And it really made you question a lot. And so that was my takeaway.
You know what's weird about that? I've heard of people getting screwed in this legal space more than the illegal one.
oh, absolutely.
I'm not going to name any names, but but I heard this one story where this company is a micro, and with the micro, each crop kind of does count probably more than these big companies because they're well
For
funded.
sure.
So they grew a crop. It was good. They tested it. It was the microbials were in check. That THC was good. It was over 25%. And
Yeah.
then they shipped it out of country. And then when it got to the destination country, they said, "Oh, it's got mold." Now the problem with that is that it cannot be shipped back to Canada because we have no importation allowed. And then they offered to destroy it and charge them money to destroy it.
Oh, Perfect.
Can you imagine that? So that, and this has happened because they didn't take payment first.
I mean, listen, you're destroying some weed right now. So
In a series of small fires, indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But can you imagine that if you're a micro, you send it out there, you know everything's fine, it's passed the check, and they said, "Oh no, that's it," and then they never got paid, and then apparently that company ghosted the other company. They just stole their weed legally.
it literally is, it's disgusting. These people put their heart and soul, their life investments into a micro. I really enjoy filming and knowing the micros. Don't get me wrong, I mean, there's large scale production where people have their hearts in the right place. So I'm not painting anyone with a certain brush, but you really get a feel for people that genuinely give a shit about the plant when you're a micro and you're growing small scale boutique, and you know that's where people really tend to shine. No different than craft beer, right? You can drink Budweiser or you can drink craft beer, but with craft beer you get, I think, a certain attention. There's more love and care.
It's made with love.
Yeah.
Because seriously, when you're doing like 1.5 million square feet, I think the love, the love is spread pretty thin.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. What advice would you give someone? And I do get asked this regularly. You know, we alluded to dream job at the very beginning. You got to do something that you really enjoyed, and you've made a living off of doing it. What would you recommend to someone that wanted to dip their toe into this industry?
Oh, well, that's simple. I would dive in. You're allowed to grow 4 plants at home, so I would go to a P&W and pick up a grow tent and maybe some fans and some lights, etc. They'll help
Yep.
you. And I would get some good genetics, something that you like, that's something that you might want to keep. And I would try growing plants. Try to grow those 4 plants. And this a lot of people do this and don't realize what kind of commitment it is to care for something every day like that. It's not like a 9 to 5 thing, take the weekends off. Plants don't work like that. They need
No.
attention every day. And if you can grow at your house, learn how to grow, and there's a lot of information on the internet, so you can probably hit a home run first time out. It's not like the dark days of growing where I started growing in the 80s and literally there was no information. The books weren't even legal. The only
Yeah.
source of information was other growers, or you go to the grocery store and hope that guy, behind the counter knew something. So it's very easy now. So if you go home, you take your 4 plants, you grow, and you decide, I love this and I want to do this for a living, yeah, by all means. But if you take those, that grow tent home, you grow those plants and decide, man, this is a lot of work. Maybe being in the industry isn't for you. Or maybe you can do something else, like be a bud tender or something like that. Or
Yeah.
For sure, but I think I agree with you 100%. I think everything starts with the plant, the relationship with the plant. And by the way, yes, definitely thanks for the shout out to P&W. Those that don't know, that's where I got my start. That's where being and dealing with growers all day really honed the craft and learning how to fix growers' issues. Right?
Yeah.
You can't speak from a place of knowledge if you haven't walked with every single grower in British Columbia saying, hey, you need to do this. And when new technologies or new products come available, it's like, this is going to help you. And it's been a real honor having the P&Ws in our back pocket.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you giving a shout out to P&W. And honestly, and to all hydroponic stores. They are the backbone, and they're there to help you succeed.
Yeah, they are. At the same time, I'd also like to thank B&W for carrying my product. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Seriously, it's amazing that you support other Canadian brands, and actually, you pretty much got all the brands in there, all the good brands, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's 98% of nutrients on the market today are decent products. The people behind them, the owners of the nutrient companies, obviously, I've known every nutrient company owner, and they care also about your success, right? There's a symbiotic relationship between buying something, reselling it, and making a living off of doing it. It's an honor to support brands and support people that genuinely give a shit about what they do. And there's no question, you love what you do. And carrying your product, I can confidently get behind and say, hey, this is it's a brand. Yes, I have a competing brand, regardless. I'm not there to be like, don't buy that, buy that.
Oh, that's more freedom of choice, right?
Absolutely. So when you walk into a store, there's whatever option you have, and I can confidently look you in the eye and smoke a joint with you and not feel like I'm pushing you down to lift myself up. I think that's a really important mechanism in industry, is when you have a product, let the product speak for itself. Don't push down somebody to lift yourself up. And there are some nutrient manufacturers that literally will come into the industry and be like, fuck that guy, shit, that's garbage, da 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 da. And honestly, all you're doing, and we personally know some companies that have done some really underhanded moves to lift themselves up. And I don't.
There's more than one company too.
No, but I mean, there's more than one for sure, but I don't subscribe to that way of doing business.
No, there's a handful of companies that aren't good for the industry. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah,
They're not doing anything for the culture or for anybody.
Listen, there was a company that at the beginning of the Coalition Against Repeal, where we took the federal government to court, there was a company that literally made a poster that said, "We're the only ones that supported the coalition, and you should be grateful to our efforts." They didn't do a fucking thing.
No, I remember John Conroy and I looked at that, and he's just like, I can't believe it. They didn't donate anything. They literally did.
They didn't donate a dollar.
And then they claimed that they did.
They made a poster that said they did, and we stand up for the culture and the rights of all growers, and we're the ones that funded this. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
I know. That's terrible. I don't know.
It's one thing to do something and just sit back and be like, we did this, and I'm not here for the praise and the love and the everything that comes with, and the adoration. It's another thing to take the win for that. It's bonkers. Anyways.
Yeah. You know what? They're gonna have to live with themselves. Maybe later on in life they'll be judged and there will be regrets. Because people won't forget that stuff. I certainly won't.
Listen, people don't forget. That's all I have to say. I try my best as a company to represent brands and treat others the way I want to be treated. That's the long and the short of it. And
absolutely, yeah.
And that's worked up until now. If it means pushing others down to lift myself up, I don't want to do it. I'd rather not. Are you related to the Colasantis? I might have completely screwed that up. In I know that's your last name. In Leamington, Ontario.
You know what? I know of the Colasanti Gardens.
Yeah.
I think there's a connection, but I don't know them. I've never met them. I'm very pleased that they share the same passion in gardening that I do, but no, I've never met them. My parents came here. We're the only Colasantis in the phone book, so it's kind of.
So basically, what you're saying is they've ripped off your name and fuck those guys.
No, not at all. But
okay, you're not saying that.
There's a distant connection, but I have never met them, and I don't know them.
Okay.
So no.
It's not a very common name. So
no, it's not. You're the only one I know.
And the fact that you do agriculture, that is crazy good too. I like that. So shout out to the Colasantis in Ontario. Maybe one day we'll blaze. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
If not, grow some veggies together.
Sure. Oh, I'm growing veggies now. I didn't tell you about that.
Oh, I know. We're going to talk about that in 2 seconds. We got Bacon Mike asking if you ever smoked any Montreal hash back in the day. He's trying to take credit for this, for sure. That's where he's going with this.
Oh, yeah. You know what? The people in Montreal actually were known for their hash. They would import hash, and they would be known to smoke more hash than anything. Kind of, I had the same passion. I smoked more hash because the weed sucked back then. So they probably had the same opinion. So, yeah, I've smoked weed actually made in Quebec now. It's a little bit different on the legal and in the gray area. On the legal, they cap it out at 30%, as you know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And on the gray, well, there's no limit, right? And was that from Bacon Mike? Is that Canadian bacon guy?
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Oh, dude, shout out. Yeah, we
growing naked with bacon.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he was actually on last week with us, and we did a live with him. It was fun. The question is, can you elaborate on how do you preserve strains in tissue culture, and is there a company that you can recommend that will hold on to them on your behalf?
Well, actually, it's the same company I use, Segra. Yeah. And what you do is you can bring, let's say, a clone to them, and they will take it. They'll cut it, and they put it in this agar material, which is kind of like a gel, and they put some nutrients and vitamins and such in there, and they can grow it very small and keep it kind of in suspended animation for an indefinite period of time.
Yeah.
So it's like a great way to store it because it doesn't grow big. Like keeping a mother room, it's expensive, and keeping mothers alive as well is another expensive thing. I know one guy who had 70 mothers. Can you imagine the effort he would have to make every day to care for 70 mothers?
Individual mothers?
Yeah, and not to
70
mention
individual
the
genetics.
watering and all that. And he doesn't make clones. He's just holding on to these strains.
He's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I said too. But
Yeah.
he's a real passionate person. Okay, he also flowers it, but it's just he's got more. Like
He should either go to seed or go to tissue culture.
tissue
That's
culture would be the answer for him. Yes, you're right.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
maybe he can hold on to like maybe his top 10 and then save a lot of power and work because you got to water those things and care
It's
for
crazy.
them.
And then if a disease happens, or you have a hop latent viroid, outbreak or whatever. I mean, just the idea of holding on to 70 different genetics with potentially, that's prone to powdery mildew, or that's prone to mites, or that's bonkers.
I agree. And I'm one of these people that I've probably got 2 dozen here right now that are, in live, not in seed or tissue culture. And that's a handful. That keeps me busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of work, no question. You're currently growing hemp under a legal license.
Yeah,
Correct.
I've got a Canadian hemp license, which is great. I'm doing this to get my farm credit for ALR because I'm on ALR land.
Okay.
Not the most profitable crop. However, it is fun to grow because it looks exactly like weed and it smells good. We do experiments in some of these plants, so it's a great testing ground. I got a greenhouse going, and then I also have a field going with it.
Yeah, you're popular in the neighborhood. People know you're a neighbor.
Well, you know what? You can't see it from the road.
Okay.
You can't smell it from the road.
Really?
No.
Big enough land.
Yeah,
We
well,
are-
I'm only eight
we
and a
are-
half acres. We put this in the middle, so it's not anywhere near anybody. So it's there, but it's not there. I'm sure they can see it from Google Earth.
And now you're growing veggies.
Veggies are awesome.
You've finally come to veggies.
Yeah. Well, before I was into monoculture, I figured, why would you want to grow vegetables? A pound of cannabis could buy you $2,000, $3,000 of vegetables. A waste of time. Now, tomatoes are $3.99 a pound.
They're more expensive than weed.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know.
Yeah.
So it started last year. My son-in-law Joel, he brought over 4 plants of these Campari tomatoes, and ended up buying one more tomato plant from the greenhouse place down the road. And uh, I just used the same SOPs you would for growing cannabis.
Mhm.
I ended up with tomato plants that were 8 and 10 feet tall. I did the same thing. I lollipopped them. I staked them the
Sure.
same way.
Yeah.
Same nutrient solution.
I mean, listen, it's in your genetics to grow. You're Italian, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's in your genetics to grow tomatoes. So
Totally. I found that out.
Yeah.
So I expanded on that this year. So this year we expanded to peppers. I got a pepper collection. We got jalapeno peppers. I got 400,000 Scoville red habaneros.
Nice.
We got hot Portugals, red cayennes. I got burning bush. I got yellow bell, red bell. So I got a bunch of peppers. But the fastest growing thing that to make a crop that actually gives you something, cucumbers.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't believe these. I've never grown a cucumber before, so I'm feeding everything at a 3 EC too. It's just pounding it, and
cucumbers explode. When a cucumber's happy, the growth goes through the roof.
blown away. I'm blown away at cucumbers. I'm growing onions as well. Herbs. You're not supposed to be able to give these high EC solutions to herbs. Well, I'm growing 3 kinds of basil. They all love it. All the leaves look perfect on it. I'm growing parsley, and my parsley looks like it's on steroids. It's
Amazing.
crazy. But this,
Yeah, it's
this,
fun,
is the,
right?
this is the funny thing is I bought corn. I've never grown corn. And I had 5 gallon pails. I drilled some holes in them and filled them up with sunshine mix and put the corn in there and started pounding with 3EC. And, they say waist high by the 4th of July.
Mhm.
Mine were face high. And this is the crazy thing is mine started flowering faster than the ones going on in the farmer's fields. And I've got corn like the dreadlocks come out of it. I don't know the proper names, but
Every seed in
actually
corn
growing
needs to
corn.
be pollinated. It's crazy to me. Like every one of
Yeah.
those is tied to a seed. Corn's actually not, to grow corn well is not as easy as you would think, even though you were very successful at it.
Well, I don't know if I'm successful yet, but I've noticed that by treating the plants like you would cannabis, we got the plants to flower a lot sooner and produce sooner,
Yeah.
and they're beautiful green. But I also noticed the stuff in the field because they're not limited with root mass, and I'm limited these poor plants with a 5 gallon pail. Theirs are starting to get considerably big, but mine grew faster and kind of hit a certain point. And running about 6 feet tall, and
I mean, it's safe to say you've learned a thing or two about cultivation over the years.
yeah, actually,
So
I've learned that if I apply all this knowledge from growing cannabis to other plants, it works.
And conversely, the funny part about it is people from silviculture and other horticultural practices that step into cannabis don't succeed as well. Like there was a lot of, during legalization, there was a lot of people that came from other horticultural industries and realized cannabis is not the home run that they had hoped it would be. And I found that to be a real, I mean, for me, a little bit of a, oh, we've been onto something for a year, for all these years.
Well, it is an art. Anybody can grow the cannabis. That's not the problem.
yeah.
It's the handling thereafter after they cut it down. That's an art.
Curing is
You
definitely an art.
don't know what to do, or you just you
You can
sweat it
fuck it all up right there.
Yeah,
Totally agree.
you can
It's
take
funny,
a
like,
diamond and turn it into crap really quick.
yeah.
We were talking about peppers, hot peppers. And we
Yeah.
found that we've dealt with a bunch of really hot pepper clubs that are, doing million Scoville and this, that, and the other, like real high peppers. And, there's a bit of a plug. They've used one of our products called resin and had really good success increasing the Scoville count on peppers.
Crazy.
Yeah, so that was. It's nice to be able to segue into different parts of horticulture, right? And not be, pigeonholed to one industry exclusively, even though it's the part of the industry that makes my heart go pitter patter.
Egg industry is considerably larger than the cannabis industry. People got to eat, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but unfortunately, what they've experienced in the regular agriculture industry is it's been a race to the bottom already for years and years and years. That I think as cannabis cultivators we can offer them because we've been concentrating on making ours taste and smell better and be better, where they're just growing with like the cheapest stuff they can.
Yeah.
So if we can increase their yields using, some of our, let's say, cannabis technology and make, let's say, better tasting and better looking fruits and vegetables, I think we have something. We have a win.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but it truly is human nature. It doesn't matter what industry it is. If there's competition, people notice that there's money to be made. It very quickly gets eroded. I'm shocked at actually how quickly markets tend to collapse when people jump into them. When there's fanfare and hype and everything else, money flows into it quickly, profits get eroded it's just as fast. We've seen it happen with cannabis, we've seen it happen with mushrooms, we've seen it happen with a lot of people, doesn't matter what, housing, same thing, right? It's a demand and supply issue, and when people jump into things, profits get eroded, competition increases, and there's a whole bunch of people left holding the bag at the end going, is there a product from a different company that you'd wished you had thought of first?
That's an interesting question because my entire line, I'm not sure if you know this, inspiration from all the companies that, I liked. I liked product. Like, here, I'm going to give you an example. The Velo Kelp. I really liked. I remember Super Thrive and Power Thrive.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right at the beginning, I was just like, wow, this is an amazing product. I used it, this is in the 80s. It was available in the late
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah.
And I would use this product, and you just even just put a capful in half a bucket
It used to
of
be made
water.
by B&B Hydroponics. I forgot the name of the guy. I don't know if it's still made. I don't think it's made anymore.
Yeah, amazing product. And that actually was the inspiration for VeloCalc, because VeloCalc is B vitamins
Yeah.
and seaweed put together, but we put a few other things, but that was the inspiration. And that holds true for my entire product line. There's things in there that like
You pick
I
and
use
choose
Canna.
what you like.
So my base product, my two part is
Yeah.
very similar to Canna because I really enjoyed Canna. So I put the best of everything. If I found a product that worked, I would use it. And when we made our own products, I would make it inspired by that product, but try to improve on it. As far as other products that other companies made, I don't know. It sounds like the resin. I've never made that. Can I get a bottle? I'll give it to my peppers.
You can get as much as you want.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Oh, yeah.
You're awesome. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. What do you prefer, organic or synthetic?
Well, you know what? I've grown both ways. Actually, I'm working on a full organic soil amendment right now. But the plant doesn't know the difference between using, minerals or, or organics or synthetics. It doesn't know the difference. And actually, when it comes to synthetics, a lot of these sources had to be organic to begin with. Organics is a tricky thing because you can have something that's organic and it's very bad. Organic doesn't mean it's going to be good.
I have had this discussion many, many times with people over organics versus synthetics. And just because a organic guano, right, seabird guano, if that seabird's in the dump eating shit all day, it's producing shitty shit. And
I agree.
and same thing with bat guano, right? If you're spraying DDTs and pesticides on mosquitoes, and those bats are eating nothing but mosquitoes that are laden with pesticide, that is being concentrated in shit. So I agree.
You're right.
Certain organics, you have to be very cautious on what organic amendments you're putting in.
Yeah.
And then we're not talking about a plant that you want to be loaded with food, right? Nutrient dense. Right, like if it was carrots or a vegetable, I want my veggies to be nutrient dense, right?
Yeah.
The rub is this: cannabis, I want to be void of nutrients by the time I consume it.
Absolutely.
I want to
But
flush. I want to flush out all the elements, and it's very difficult to do in organics.
But you're touching upon bat guano. Bat guano is actually very, very dangerous. In fact, when it's airborne, it can be carcinogenic
And kill you.
I don't know if you know my friend Andy Dabber. He used to be on my program a lot.
Yeah.
He used to do like 1 gram dabs.
Sure.
And I used to smoke a lot of weed with him. He got some weed that, for some reason, this guy liked to use a lot of bat guano. And he made medibles, made extract. He smoked it. He handled it. And he ended up with this lung infection. And here they just told him he had pneumonia. So Andy didn't believe them. And he went to Germany and he got properly diagnosed. And he had, I forgot the name of it, but it's like a cave disease. Like if he went hiking in a cave and inhaled the bat guano.
Yeah.
And well, Andy's a larger fellow. He doesn't go hiking in a cave. And the obvious source was this organic cannabis that was contaminated with the bat guano. And he still can't smoke cannabis now.
No kidding. Andy can't smoke weed since.
No, not at all.
That's-
The lungs
That guy
are
smoked.
down.
I had no idea.
That's
Yes. And he moved to Thailand as well. So I go visit him every year. But
Okay.
that's what happened to Andy. Because every time Andy appears in any of my videos, because he was just in a video recently within 2 weeks, people are saying, why doesn't Andy smoke anymore? What happened? Why aren't you sharing with Andy? And it's, more than anything, Andy does want to smoke with me, but he absolutely can't.
Wow.
So, yeah, that bat guano, that's serious stuff, really dangerous.
Listen, I think bat guano works well,
It does work well, but
but
at the same time,
I want to
very
make
dangerous.
sure the source is the most important part.
I also found that if you use a little bat guano, and this is when I was, exploring organics in the 90s, great. But if you use a lot of bat guano, it left a crazy flavor that wasn't good in your cannabis.
Listen, I mean, too much organics, too much of anything is not good. We used to have people they amended their soil with so much organic material that it's literally going through decomposition, and certain elements are breaking down at certain times. There's calcium, which is not very mobile. Organics has to be, and you should be, most importantly, testing your soil regularly to make sure that it's a complete diet. Right, and it can be done, but there's so much guesswork with organics. True living soils. There's this real strong true living soil movement, and I completely agree with living soil for veggies.
The problem is with living soil. I've smoked a lot of it, and when they do a good job, it burns clean. But I would say half the time that somebody presents living soil product, it might have great terps, the weed looks great, and it burns funny.
Yeah,
Or
and
black
it leaves
in it.
I find it leaves a metallic flavor a lot of the time. I don't necessarily, and it's not you should be buying living soil cannabis. There are people that do it well.
But I like
when it's
to.
done well, it's great. But when it's not,
I like to make sure the elements are out of my plants. That's it. So flushing a plant, if they're clean elements, involves water and a little bit of time, and that's the best way to extract elements from your plant. That's my 2 bits. What's your favorite medium to cultivate in?
cocoa, because it's kind of the best of both worlds. It's kind of like hydro, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like growing in, in dirt or in soil.
Yeah.
What else?
I really
What I
also
like
like
about
cocoa. I agree.
yeah, there's a certain water retention, and then it just kind of releases the rest of the water. Where if you're using, let's say, it's Pro Mix or Sunshine Mix, there's too much water retention. So it's more ideal for, if you're going to do like any crop sharing like that, the cocoa would be
Yep.
a lot easier to do it with.
And it maintains its loft, which is really important for me, right? Like if you're in a sunshine, it literally, you start here, by the time you're cropping out, it's compressed so much. The pot is literally half the size. And the reason why hydroponics works so well, in my opinion, not in my opinion, it does work so well because more oxygen available to the roots is one of the major contributing factors. When that condenses and it Pro Mix doesn't do it as badly as Sunshine, and cocoa, literally you start here, you finish here.
Yeah. But when it comes to hydroponics, though, a lot of people miss that point about, oxygen availability.
Absolutely.
And they'll set up these elaborate systems, and then they don't get the one thing that makes it work, a chiller. You need to chill that water in your heart and get that temperature low. Because when you get the temperature low, when you're adding your air stone or your air pump to it, the water will hold on
Yeah.
to that air, which has oxygen,
Super
and
true.
that's how you get the oxygen to the roots. However, here's another grow tip for you: do not have your air pump or your heart, let's say, in the same room where you're pumping tons of CO2. Because if you do, let's say your room's, let's say, 1500 ppm, your air pump now picking that up and putting that into your nutrient solution, which is going to mess with your pH, it's going to mess with your plants.
Absolutely.
So if you had a nice clean air source outside, because typically outside it's like 300 or 400 ppm,
Yep.
it'd be a lot more beneficial for your plants. But the whole point of hydroponics is getting that oxygen to the roots. So if you don't chill your water, you don't get the oxygen to the roots. And actually, a good example of this is I know people like diving out there, and if you're to dive, around the equator, it's like a desert. There's like, a coral reef here and some stuff here and some sea life there, but it's all spread out. Where if you go, let's say, off the coast of Vancouver Island, or even go further north, everything is teeming with life, and that's because the water temperature is low and it has so much more oxygen in it available to the sea life, and that's why more stuff is growing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Lower water obviously does hold more oxygen, and good grow tip by that way. Really, really important. Because pumping CO2 into your water creates carbonic acid, which is a monster no-no. So great grow tip.
I hate to see people put all this effort into making these elaborate systems and just, don't get the final part.
The smallest little things fuck it all up, right? They're like links in a chain. For cultivation, it's links in a chain, and it's really important to pay heed. How do you recommend flushing your elements line, and how many weeks before harvest do you recommend?
Well, you know what? That's different for a lot of people. I myself, I like to do like a 2 week flush because I'm old school. But now there's all these guys who are doing crop steering. They feed literally right to the end. And what those people end up doing is they end up dropping the A and B and just giving the PK booster at the end because it has no nitrogen. And then they'll feed with calcium carbonate, last 3 feeds at the end, and this is what gives them the white ash. And it helps strip. Some guys will even use a little bit of a CalMag, maybe at like 0.3 EC, and run that through, and that will help draw some of the nutrients out as well. So there's a few different approaches to this, but it really amazes me with these crop steering people because now they're achieving numbers that we didn't even think was possible at the beginning. They're hitting like 3-4 pounds of light. It's just like mind blowing. I've even heard reports of 5 pounds of light. And that's just like, that is super efficient.
5 I've never heard. 4.4 out of 630 watts is the highest I've heard.
See, that's another level of
Is 5 possible? I think
6:30
who would
to do it.
who would have ever thought, right? Actually, and then with under canopy lighting, on top of that. But it's still, you're sub 1,000 watts. You're pushing those kind of numbers. It's really bonkers. So regardless of price compression, if you grow more cannabis and it's quality, you can definitely survive at 4 pounds of light.
But you know what? You just touched upon something that's really good for increasing your production, under canopy lighting. And actually, there's a guy close to here who is using Faven, Eco Grow Tech, and Grandmaster level under canopy lighting, and he's doing a comparison. And from what I can see, any under canopy lighting will increase your number drastically. And people are reporting 15 to 30% more yield.
Consistently, I hear a minimum of 20%. That's not that far off.
That's amazing. And if you have nowhere else to expand, this makes total sense.
It's the only product that pays for itself, and we've had Faven on. It's the only product that pays for itself first run.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm really fond of the adoption of under canopy lighting. I think it's probably the best tech that's happened in the last, for sure, year, maybe 10.
Yeah, it would appear that in the gray market right now, especially in our environment, the only way to survive is you have to get 2.5, 3 or more pieces per light, or otherwise you're finished. It's just you can't compete. So it's reality, and that even holds true for the LPs. They're not making tons of money there. The average price of cannabis on the legal side, and this is probably going to gross a lot of people out, it's like $2 a gram. So that's why a lot of people are choosing to export, because they actually will make more money if they send it to Australia or Germany. Oh, yeah. Speaking of export, did you hear what happened in Portugal?
No.
Oh, this is crazy, because Portugal's been a hub for legal cannabis. Well, apparently they've been taking tons, literally tons of illegal cannabis without the proper paperwork and selling it as legal.
No, they haven't. People are breaking the law with cannabis?
Yeah.
Come on.
This just happened. It's a brand new story. Also, I guess rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne has passed away.
I just heard that before we got on. That's crazy, eh?
Yeah. Well, you know what? The thing is about Ozzy and Black Sabbath, that's been like the soundtrack to my life. I've listened to Ozzy all the time. And actually, the very, very, very first time I got like what I call seriously high, I was listening to Blizzard of Oz. And I went over to my friend's place, and he asked me, "Hey, do you want to smoke? You want to get high?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. I smoked weed a bunch of times. It doesn't get me high, And he goes, "Well, no. He goes, I'd rather drink booze." And he goes, "No. I got this Moroccan red hash. You got to come over and we'll try it out." So I went over to his house, and I remember we sat in his living room, and the guy's mom's at work, and he got this hash out, and we smoked a gram of it in this little ceramic pipe, and he put that album on, and there's these little crystals hanging at all the windows, because his mom was a hippie, and the light was coming through it, and we're listening to Blizzard of Oz, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then I got it. That's what actually the first time I got high. And from there, I was sold. I was lifer from there.
I don't very often show my personal life on camera, but this is my little turkey, the Australian Shepherd named Nelly. Why does the color of ash matter?
Well, it's funny. I've had this discussion many times, and my personal experience is like when I smoke anything with a black ash that keeps going out, I'm not enjoying it. And I also find it affects the flavor. I've had some experience with creating cannabis that made a black ash. I grew with like Plant Prod and Miracle Grow, and it's really high in ammonium nitrate that doesn't wash out and produces a black ash. And
my thumbs get sore from lighting the lighter over and over. That's just a tedious, difficult thing. It's
terrible. So black ash does matter, or white ash does matter. Black ash is terrible. And there was a report made by a company a few years ago, and they tried to pass it off as a white paper saying that the ash color doesn't matter. And it was a nutrient company that produced, I guess, cannabis that made a black ash. Isn't that hilarious? Well, I don't want to name any names,
Yeah, no, I know.
I think it's really important not to push boulders uphill. And if you have a product that people have to change the way they do things to use it, you're probably on the wrong path. I don't like, I will say this, when you're using a nutrient, if you have to buy a product to fix a problem with a nutrient or change the way you do things or end up with black ash, you can't change the market and say, hey, fucking black ash is awesome.
That's what they tried to do, though. I'm sure you remember this. This was a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we found it laughable. It's just like, come on.
Just doesn't make sense to me. But at the end of the day, people like what they like. Use what you want. That's the mantra in the world. Anyways,
Yeah, actually, I like to be free burning as well. And yesterday we did Marijuana Monday,
Yeah.
and I was reviewing this cannabis that was going to be available in Germany. It was called Sunset Strudel or something like that.
Yeah.
Had strudel in the name. And literally, my cutaway was looking at my vegetable patch. And I put the joint in the ashtray. We went outside. We filmed that. And we were out there for, I don't know, 5 or 8 minutes. We came back. The thing was still lit.
yeah.
And I was like, yes, yes, extra point for still being lit. So it's I find joints like that. I enjoy it more. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The experience has to be good, right? Every
Absolutely.
single time. Remo, where can people find out more information about you, and what is your channel on YouTube? Because I know that's huge.
Yeah, well, I'm Urban Remo on YouTube. We do a show called Marijuana Monday every Monday. Sometimes it comes out Tuesday if we're late, but we try to get it out once a week.
Yeah.
You can also check out my nutrients at remonutrients.com. And I'm Urban Remo also on Instagram. I think that covers most of it off.
And you're going to grow up in January?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Grow up
And you know what?
Vancouver, by the way. We should probably be mentioning that. You guys should all come down and smoke a bunch of weed with Remo at the smoking area.
You know what? It's going to be the best grow up ever. And we're doing the cup again in Vancouver. So anybody that wants to enter, any LPs, any micros that want to enter our contest, please feel free. We only ask, and this is kind of a good thing, 5 grams for the, let's say the qualifying, because we have to eliminate it. And then after that, it's 30 grams. And we like to judge that live in front of everybody. So everybody can come up and watch and they can look at the cannabis, and we allow people to smell it and,
Yeah.
actually see what we're doing. It's not like most cups where they give you a judge's pack and then everybody goes away. We do this live, and we try to do it all within a 4-hour period. So we have 12 samples that we try to consume within 4 hours and then render a result, which is quite the challenge.
This is the part of judging that I've struggled with, because I'm still high on the next run, and I may get more high, I may not, but I can't tell. I mean, I can tell taste, burn, terp profile, but the effect is just blended in for me.
Well, I agree. A lot of it's going to be blended in, but if you find one that's particularly strong, you'll notice. You'll take a couple tokes, you'll be, oh my God, what is in this thing?
Yeah,
It'll take you up. But then the one after that, it's just this. And Jason Wilcox was really good at this. By the end of the judging things, you can't put words together. Like it was amazing. And in your case, it's your norm. It's you can smoke a lot of weed.
I did 7 cups last year, but here I'll tell you the method to my madness. What we do is we look at all the weed first. We do what's called the beauty contest.
Yeah.
And I'll look at them all, and we'll give them points based on what they look like.
Yeah.
And then we smell them all and give them points on what they smell like. And then we take the ones with the best look and the best smell, and we smoke that one first. And that sets the bar. So we think that's the best one. So as you smoke, you're trying to find one that's going to top that one. And every once in a while you do, but most of the time, the one that looks the best, smells the best, usually is the best. I'm just gonna say that. But every once in a while you find one that's like, okay, we missed this one, and this is clearly better than that, but not often.
Do you ever take breaks just to build up your?
Oh no, that'd be crazy.
That's hilarious.
Cannabis is my medicine, so if I stop smoking cannabis, I'm no longer taking any pain medication, so that's not going to happen. So I've managed to, get myself off all the pharmaceutical drugs, because I've had a car accident. I broke my neck, my back, and even now, years after, I don't have the easiest time getting around. It hurts bending over and picking things off the ground. It causes me pain. So cannabis does help greatly with this stuff.
Absolutely.
On that note, Remo, thank you so much for taking the time today. It was a lot of fun. I hope the viewers got something out of it. And, and
hopefully they got high.
Yeah. And thanks for joining in, everybody, and have a wonderful rest of the week.
Hey, thanks for having me, and have Have a great day. We'll blaze again soon.
Definitely. See you, Remo. Take care.
Okay. Take care. Ciao.
Cheers.